Belly and Jeremiah's wedding changes everything. Just when we thought the love triangle was over, just when we believed Cousins Beach had seen its last summer secret, a new storm begins to rise. Season 4 of The Summer I Turned Pretty isn't just about love anymore. It's about consequences. Because when Belly chooses Jeremiah, she doesn't just break a heart, she awakens something in Conrad. Something deeper, something dangerous. And now, the wedding everyone's talking about might not be a celebration at all, but the beginning of the end. 2 years have passed since that fateful summer when Belly finally made her choice. She and Jeremiah have grown together, stronger, more committed, far from the chaos of high school drama and tangled teenage hearts. At Finch University, they've built a life that looks perfect on the outside. Studying together, growing up, creating new memories that didn't involve the pain of the past. But beneath the surface, the past has never truly disappeared. And as they shock everyone with a sudden wedding announcement, the ghosts of Cousins Beach start whispering again. Their families are stunned. Laurel can barely process the news, still scarred by everything her daughter endured. Susanna's memory hangs heavy over the table where the announcement is made. Even Stephen struggles to hide his doubts. And then there's Conrad, miles away, but never fully gone. The news of the wedding spreads like wildfire, and it hits him like a tidal wave. Jeremiah has always been the golden boy, the safe choice. But Belly choosing him, and now marrying him, flips everything Conrad thought he understood. For years he tried to let go, tried to pretend he had made peace. But the moment he hears about the wedding, it all comes crashing back. And Belly? She smiles. She says she's ready. But the look in her eyes tells a more complicated story. Because while she loves Jeremiah, while she's tried to bury the feelings that once consumed her, there are moments, quiet, passing moments, where she still hears Conrad's voice, where she remembers the promises, the pain, the passion that once defined her entire world. And now, those moments are about to come roaring back. Because the wedding might be set, but nothing in Cousins Beach ever stays quiet for long. The trailer doesn't just tease a wedding, it teases a reckoning. A ceremony that's meant to bring people together is already tearing them apart. Friends question her choice. Family members feel the pressure. Jeremiah senses the shift. And Belly? She starts to wonder if she's walking down the aisle, or walking into a trap of her own making. Because love isn't simple. Not here. Not in Cousins. Not when one brother is waiting at the altar, and the other is finally ready to fight. Conrad wasn't supposed to come back. Not now. Not when everything finally felt stable. After leaving Cousins Beach behind, he disappeared into California, studying, surfing, vanishing into a life without Belly. He told himself it was for the best, that Belly had chosen Jeremiah, and he had to respect that. He told himself he was fine. But the moment he hears the news, Belly and Jeremiah are getting married, something snaps inside him. A quiet rage, a wave of heartbreak. And suddenly, without telling anyone, Conrad is on a plane back to the one place he's tried to forget, Cousins Beach. When he shows up unannounced, everything shifts. The beach feels different. The house feels smaller, the memories unbearable. He walks through rooms still echoing with laughter, tears, the love that once burned too brightly to hold. But Belly isn't the same girl he left. She's older, steadier, and colder. There's a wall around her now, a distance he doesn't recognize, and yet one look between them says what words never could. The tension crackles. It's instant, unspoken, dangerous. Jeremiah sees it too. At first, he pretends not to. He laughs, hugs his brother, acts like it's just another summer reunion. But the moment Conrad steps into their orbit, the balance changes. Belly starts second-guessing, Jeremiah starts noticing. And Conrad? He doesn't say much, but his presence speaks louder than words. Every look, Every silence, every moment he spends with Belly is a reminder of what they once had and what might still exist just beneath the surface. The trailer shows glimpses, flashing images of Belly and Conrad caught in unexpected moments, a conversation on the porch, a long stare across the kitchen, a memory reignited with a single touch. Jeremiah sees it all, and for the first time, his smile falters, his trust wavers, because for years he believed Belly had chosen him, completely. But now, with Conrad back in the picture, that certainty begins to crumble. And Belly? She tries to stay grounded. She tells herself this is what she wants. She's getting married. She loves Jeremiah. But love isn't always about choice. Sometimes it's about gravity, about being pulled toward someone you've tried for years to forget. And the more time she spends near Conrad, the harder it becomes to ignore the truth. The past isn't just behind her. It's alive. It's standing in front of her, and it's not going away. The beach that once held her happiest memories now becomes a battlefield of emotions. Every conversation is charged. Every encounter leaves her shaken. And as the wedding date draws near, Belly realizes something terrifying. She may not be ready. Not for this marriage, not for this future, not while Conrad is back and still in love with her. What was supposed to be a dream is turning into a nightmare. Belly and Jeremiah's wedding, once a symbol of new beginnings, starts unraveling before it even begins. The beach house, once a sanctuary filled with warmth and hope, now holds tension so thick no one can breathe without stepping into it. Family dinners are awkward. Glances between Conrad and Belly are lingering too long, and Jeremiah, trying desperately to hold on to calm, begins to spiral in silence. The wedding plans go forward, flowers picked, guest list finalized, dresses tried on, but no one can ignore the atmosphere shifting. Laurel notices the unease in Belly's voice when she talks about the wedding. Stephen corners her, asking if she's truly ready. Even Taylor, her best friend and once her biggest cheerleader, begins to hesitate. The people who love her most are starting to see the cracks, the ones Belly keeps trying to hide behind a perfect smile. But the more she pushes forward, the heavier it becomes. Because deep down, Belly knows she's living a lie. She loves Jeremiah. That's not the problem. But the love they share is safe, warm, quiet. The kind of love that should be enough, but never quite is. And now, with Conrad back, every buried emotion starts to resurface. Late-night memories she tried to erase, the way her heart used to race whenever he walked into the room, the anger, the heartbreak, the way he challenged her, scared her, thrilled her, all at once. The very chaos she thought she left behind is now clawing its way back to the surface. Conrad doesn't try to win her back, not directly, but everything he does carries the weight of unfinished business. He's softer now, more grounded, but still carries that same storm inside, and every conversation between them feels like a spark, one step away from catching fire. Belly feels it, Jeremiah sees it, and that's when the real unraveling begins. Jeremiah tries to stay calm. He tells himself it's just wedding stress, that Conrad and Belly are old news, that their connection is nothing but history. But when he walks into a quiet room and finds the two of them talking in whispers, when he sees the way Belly blushes and quickly pulls away, something inside him fractures, and he starts doing things he's never done before. Snooping through Belly's texts, questioning her more often, getting irritated over little things. The boy who was always full of sunshine and certainty is slowly slipping into jealousy and fear. And Belly? She notices it all, but doesn't know how to stop it. The worst part? The secrets. Because in the midst of the wedding chaos, a truth is uncovered. A truth Belly has been hiding, one that could destroy everything. She never truly let Conrad go. There was a letter, one she wrote after choosing Jeremiah. A letter she never sent. In it, she confessed her confusion, her guilt, her fear that she made the wrong choice. Somehow, Conrad finds it. Or maybe she gives it to him in a moment of weakness. Either way, once he reads it, the dam breaks. Conrad confronts her, not with anger, but with raw, honest pain. He tells her he's never stopped loving her, that he tried, that he failed, that watching her marry his brother is killing him slowly. And Belly breaks. All the feelings she's buried come pouring out. She cries. She apologizes. She admits she doesn't know what she's doing anymore. For one fleeting second, it feels like everything is about to come undone. But it's not just them anymore. Jeremiah walks in on the conversation. He hears everything. Silence. Then rage. What happens next changes everything. Jeremiah, broken and betrayed, lashes out at Conrad, at Belly, at the entire fantasy they've built. Years of brotherhood start to crumble in seconds. The scene isn't loud. It's cold, heavy, devastating. Conrad tries to apologize, but Jeremiah's eyes are already gone. Belly tries to explain, but her voice shakes. And just like that, the Fisher brothers, once inseparable, are torn apart by the girl they both loved too much. The wedding is postponed. No, canceled. Laurel demands answers. Stephen is stunned. The guests are sent home. The house goes silent. And Belly? She sits on the beach alone, the place that once held so many dreams, now washed over in guilt. She's not just lost one love, she's lost two, and maybe even herself in the process. But this isn't the end. Because in The Summer I Turned Pretty, endings are never simple, and love is never clean. The wedding is over before it even begins, but the damage left behind is far worse than a canceled ceremony. The events that unfolded at Cousins Beach didn't just break a relationship, they broke a family. In the quiet that follows, each character is forced to face the truth they've spent years avoiding. And Belly, at the center of the storm, finds herself more alone than she has ever been. Jeremiah disappears first. After the confrontation, after hearing Belly's confession and watching his brother fall apart in front of him, he packs a bag and leaves Cousins without a word. There are no dramatic goodbyes, no final speeches, just silence. He needs space. From Belly, from Conrad, from everything. Because the boy who always believed in happy endings now knows they don't always exist, at least not for him. And with his heart shattered, he walks away from the girl he thought he would spend the rest of his life with. Laurel tries to pick up the pieces, but even she struggles to make sense of it all. As a mother, she wants to comfort Belly, to protect her. But as a woman who's lived through heartbreak herself, she knows this is something Belly has to face on her own. Laurel sees the guilt in her daughter's eyes. She sees the regret. But she also sees the confusion, the part of Belly that still doesn't know what she truly wants. And for once, Laurel doesn't give advice. She simply stays near, watches, waits. Stephen is angry. At both of them. At Belly for hurting Jeremiah. At Conrad for letting history repeat itself. And maybe even at himself for not seeing the signs. He avoids the house for days, choosing long walks and distant stares over confrontation. Taylor tries to help him understand, but she too is shaken. Everyone believed in Belly and Jeremiah. Everyone thought this time, love would be enough. But Cousins has a way of revealing truths no one wants to face. And now, all their illusions are gone. And then there's Conrad. He stays. Not to win her back, not to replace Jeremiah, but because he's just as lost as Belly is. The house feels empty without his brother. The laughter is gone. The tension is replaced by aching silence. And in that silence, Conrad and Belly begin to talk. Really talk. Not as lovers, not as people running from the past, but as two broken souls trying to understand how they got here. They walk the beach like they used to, only now there's a heaviness in every step. A weight neither of them can shake. Conrad tells her everything. How he spent the last 2 years convincing himself she was better off without him. How he tried to move on but never truly could. How seeing her with Jeremiah felt like losing her all over again, but worse, because this time it was permanent. Or so he thought. Belly listens. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't cry. She just listens, because deep down, she's spent years waiting to hear those words. And when he's finished, she says something he never expected. "I don't know what I want." It's the most honest thing she's ever said. Because after everything, after all the heartbreak, the betrayal, the years of love and confusion, she still doesn't know. She knows she loves Jeremiah. She knows she'll always love Conrad. But love alone isn't enough anymore. Not after what she's done. Not after the wedding that never happened. She needs to find herself first. The version of Belly that isn't defined by who she's with, but by who she is. And that's when the real story of Season 4 begins. Belly decides to leave Cousins, not forever, but for a while. She needs clarity, space, time to understand who she is outside of the Fisher brothers. For too long, her life has been entangled with theirs. Every choice, every heartbreak, every summer, tied to Conrad or Jeremiah. And now, for the first time, she chooses herself. She returns to campus early, signs up for summer classes, and avoids social media. She doesn't answer messages, doesn't try to explain. Because how can she explain a heartbreak she doesn't fully understand herself? Instead, she writes. In a journal. Letters to both brothers she never sends. Reflections on everything they shared, everything they lost, and everything she still hopes to find. Meanwhile, back at Cousins, time moves slowly. Jeremiah returns to the house months later, quieter, colder. He barely speaks to Conrad. Their brotherhood, once the strongest bond in their lives, now feels like a fragile thread ready to snap. But they try. For Susanna, for the memories, for the boys they used to be. They sit on the porch one night, neither speaking for a long time. Then, Conrad breaks the silence. "I'm sorry." Jeremiah nods. "Me too. It's not a fix, it's not forgiveness, but it's a start." As the final scenes of the season unfold, a new summer begins. But this one feels different. There's no love triangle, no weddings, just 3 people trying to heal. Belly visits Cousins one last time before fall. She walks the beach alone, remembering everything. The laughter, the tears, the kisses, the fights. And as the sun sets over the water, she closes her eyes and makes peace with the past. We don't see who she ends up with. Maybe that answer doesn't come yet. Maybe it's not even the point, because Season 4 isn't about choosing between Jeremiah and Conrad. It's about Belly choosing herself. It's about growing up, letting go, and learning that love isn't always a perfect ending. Sometimes it's a messy, painful, beautiful journey. And Cousins Beach? It'll always be there, waiting, watching, holding the memories of a girl who turned pretty one summer and became something even stronger by the next. The Summer I Turned Pretty. Season 4. Not just the end of a love story, but the beginning of everything.